Dan, appreciate you inviting us down today to record this podcast at the Secret Garden. You got an amazing place.
Thank you, brother. Alhamdulillah.
Just before we go into the pod, I want to hit you with some for the record quick fire questions.
Let's go.
Bust down or plain Jane?
Plain Jane.
Day or Daytona?
Daytona.
Oyster bracelet or Jubilee bracelet?
Jubilee.
Best watch to hold for value out of the big four: Rolex, AP, Patek, RM.
Rolex.
Why is that?
Just always do the best, most popular brand. Quick, done.
You heard it here first. Favorite watch of all time?
Platinum Daytona.
Dubai or Hong Kong?
Dubai.
Paddle or football?
Paddle. Shit, I'm answering these quick. These are super quick fire.
Millwall or West Ham?
Millwall.
Retire tomorrow, start again from zero?
Oh, what a question. Start again from zero.
Why is that?
I'd be bored. Drive myself mad. Let's start again.
Still got a lot to give.
Inshallah.
So, Dan, the last 12
Shouldn't
months...
give me a Celsius first, because you see how quick them answers were.
Tell them about the Celsius. What's
a very healthy drink. It's a nice drink and it gives you energy. It doesn't hit you like Red Bull. It's like slow releases the energy. It's a good drink.
Is this your brand?
No, it's not.
Oh,
An American brand, I think. I don't even know who owns it.
how did you come across it?
In a petrol station.
Mm.
Yeah. So before paddle, I'd like to have a little energy drink. Like if I felt a bit like sluggish. And then I looked at, I don't like drinking sugars and stuff like that. I don't like sugar at all. So I picked up one day. It's got no sugar in it, no artificial flavors. It's got natural energy in it, natural caffeine in it. So yeah, it's a good slow burner.
It's one of those drinks where you just want to try something different and you took a gamble.
Literally, yeah.
Not an actual gamble, because stuff for learn.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah. Yeah.
I mentioned that though because recently I've started drinking sparkling water.
Nice. Very posh.
Sparkling or still?
Still, I can't do sparkling. I've tried it. Do you know what I mean? When I'm with my posh mates, I've tried it a few times and I have to gulp it down, but realistically it makes me feel a bit...
Why is it considered a posh drink?
I think it's because posh people drink it.
Mm.
You never meet anyone from the estate that asks for sparkling, do you?
I do. I'm that kind of.
Yeah.
But do you know what it is? For me, it's a hack because cut back majorly on drinking. Drink very rarely now. And
you talk about alcohol?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's right. So I'm moving away from that. And I found sparkling water. I'm like, it's like a bad beer.
Yeah.
So that's the psychology behind it. Yeah. It helps, it works, and yeah, like I said, I'm not drinking as much.
I use it for weight loss. When I'm on a diet, I put a lime in a sparkling water in the morning and have no breakfast. And that cuts fat off me quite quick.
How?
Heck. I don't know how it works, but in my psychology it works.
Trust the science.
I don't know if it is science or just an opinion, but trust it either way.
So Dan, I want to start this podcast a little bit differently to probably a traditional podcast. I want to speak to you a little bit about current situation in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you've been a really good reason of voice for both sides, far right and the left. And what I mean by that is, I think you're somebody who recently has, I think for Muslim people generally, have been a reason of voice and somebody who can articulate themselves quite well. And I think you're somebody who understands kind of both sides. You've made some videos recently regarding the current state of situation. What do you feel like needs to happen going forward? Is it a place of situation where kind of going forward, is it looking scary? A lot of people are worried kind of for the next generation from both sides. Where's your point on this?
I mean, I'm worried as an Englishman and as a Muslim, and for my children, I'm worried, or for my children, sorry. So I'm worried for everyone in that situation, even from the far right. I'm worried for their children because even though they're far right, because they're being tricked a little bit, they're pushing left agendas.
I'd like to get like a bit of a definition clarification for our audiences, because I think a lot of young people are not as into politics. So what do we mean when we're saying left and right? I'm
still trying to work that out myself, to be honest with you. So this is quite a new argument. People throw the left and the right around a lot. So historically, they make us argue over race. They make us argue over religion. They make us argue over anything, the elite. So now it's left and the right. So left and the right opinions. Left is very liberal. So transsexuals, homosexuals, that all seems to me to be on the left. The right is the opposite of that, but not just the opposite of that. It's authoritarian. That's the right word, where it's one race, this is us, don't like it, go away kind of situation. So so this is the way they're trying to make us argue amongst each other now. So they've gone from religion, they've gone to race, and now they're going to opinion. So me, where do I sit in the middle of that? Well, I don't want my kids being taught to be transsexuals, but I also know immigration built this country. So I'm not going to say no immigrants. Do you know what I mean? Immigration's built most countries throughout of history. Do you know what I mean? So it's just ways of getting us to argue amongst each other.
I think one of the key points you made is you can love this country, you can be Muslim, and you can be white.
Yeah.
And they don't need to be separate things.
No, but this is what they do. They put everyone into a box. And once you're in that box, your ego and your pride sometimes can get you arguing a point that you know is not true. Because right now, if I was to sit here and say, as an Asian man, you lot are quite tight with money. Yeah. So that's put you in that box. And then you're going to get defensive and say, oh, what do you mean I'm tight with money? Do you know what I mean? And then I can give you an example. And then you're in defense mode. You're going to go into why I'm going to defend me being Asian. So it's all just little mind games. Same with black. I can say to you, black people are not punctual. They're quite late all the time. You can get your back up, and then straight away you're going from a defensive point of view. Same as white. White people are not the best of people when it comes to colonialism, things like that. And then straight away I've got my back up now. As a white man, I've got to defend white people because I'm white. So I'm defending myself, but realistically, I ain't defending myself because I'm not using logic. And the logic goes out the window once you're in defense mode. So as an English man, I would say I love England as a country. Yeah. When I go away for a certain period of time and I come back, I get back in England. I'm like, yes, I feel like I'm home. I love the countryside. I love looking at the views. I even love the people, the way we queue up and we're polite. Some, again, you can't put everyone into that box. That is our culture as a British person. Do you know what I mean? You don't really get into arguments. You don't wave yourself around. You have some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Decorum. British people seem to have quite reserved people and have quite a sense of decorum. So
I think a thing that people have now associated with a negative just because of how society is translated now is the concept of patriarchy is actually supposed to be a noble thing. You should be proud of where you're from, and XYZ. But now people use it as a narrative where it's
exactly. But we can use anything as a narrative, or they can use anything as a narrative. So, like I said, I'm proud to be British, where I was born and I'm from. I'm actually half Irish, half Scottish, but I was born in England, so I'm English. So we're all here. You might be Asian, but you're still born in England, so you're British. You might be black. Your family are from wherever. But you're English. Do you know what I mean? Because this is where we come home to. So they can get us arguing about absolutely anything, any point at all. But at the end of the day, we're all British. But does that mean that I have to go and wave my flag around? Because whose flag is that? Is that Danny's flag? Is that Danny's family's flag? It's not really, is it? It's our government's flag. And then do I agree with my government? And by saying do I agree with my government, I'm not just talking about Keir Starmer who's in control now. I'm talking about who's in control and has been in control behind the government for years and years. So what I believe when it's come to this is because of people don't use logic when it gets defensive, people ain't seeing what's right and what's wrong. So as a British man, I'm proud to be British, but also I'm ashamed to be British at the same time. So with being in that box, I'm also in this box. And that's what everyone should do. People should open the door of their box and just have a look around rather than keep themselves and be defensive and not use logic in their box. Like that makes sense.
I think that's quite interesting because on the way here last night, me and Tad spoke and said, there's certain people that can't see outside the box because that's the environment they've grown in or they know. And it's quite a blessing to be actually like us three here. We've had experiences of, I'm black, but I know what Asian communities like, the white communities like XYZ, and we all share that common ground that allows us to operate in a way where you do look outside your own box.
Yeah.
But some people don't have that. And I think those are the people I'm worried about because those are the people that likely take a party like Reform or whatever. We see them as maybe racist, quote unquote, But there is a large group of those people that have grown in the bubble, and they think, weirdly enough, that all the problems are coming because there's too many foreigners or whatever.
Look, I don't think being right and wrong is even the problem, because everyone's entitled to opinion. But I think sincerity is the problem. So like we spoke about our leaders will get on stage and they'll say a certain thing. But is that what they truly believe? And if they ain't dealing with sincerity, if it ain't coming from themselves in their heart, then where is it coming from? Is it coming from their backers that are paying them? Is it coming from someone else's opinion on it? Do you know what I mean? So right now you can say to me, you don't like a certain group of people because of this. That's your opinion. That's fine. Do you know what I mean? As long as that is sincerity from your heart and that is something you truly believe. So you don't have to agree on everything. No one's going to agree on everything, but you have to be sincere. That's what I think is more important.
Do you think we still have a right to express our opinions in the UK?
I think everyone should have a right to express their opinions. Even like I said, I don't want my kids to be taught about transsexuals, but does that mean that I've got a problem with transsexuals? No, let them crack on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, wear your heels, have fun. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me involved in it. Don't get my kids involved in it. The same as any other culture, any other religion. But that's what happens now. Nowadays, what's happening is people are saying stuff and getting shut down. People in England are going to prison for Facebook posts.
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
That's what I was really landing on with that question.
Yeah. So it's like that we've gone too far back now. And when you look at it as a whole, and without being too political, you can see how it's happened. So, like I said, it don't matter if Keir Starmer, it don't matter if it's Rishi Sunak, it don't matter if it's Tony Blair, it don't matter if it's Gordon Brown, it don't matter who's leading our country. It matters about who's giving their money to get into their platform, because who's giving their money is giving them an agenda. Yeah, it's called political lobbying. So political lobbying is selling out our country, because right now, if I want to be Prime Minister, I need money to go canvassing. I need money for people to go knocking on doors. I need money for advertising to Danny for Prime Minister now. So what I have to do now is approach these big people, these big companies. If I come up to this company, let's just say Coca-Cola, for instance, I'm going to say, yep, look, I want to be sponsored to be the next Prime Minister. They're going to say to me, yes, Danny, no problem. Here's £100 million. We'll help you push your agenda. But when you become Prime Minister, lower the sugar-free tax and we will sell more Cokes. So now my sincerity knows that sugar's bad for people. So I shouldn't be doing that, right? But these political people don't do that. They sell their morals, they'll sell their values for political lobbying to get themselves in power. So they're getting into power for ego and not for what their country is. So I can't remember the last time that we've had a leader that has put their country first. I mean, I study history a bit. I can't even think of a historical character that has put our country first. And it's not just our country, it's the whole of the West. Do you know what I mean? From America, from Europe. I look at a lot of stuff in America that goes on in America, and I don't think any of their leaders have done what's right by their country. And we are 10 years behind America in England. So, and the same with Europe.
Do you think the working class are being used as pawn?
100%. And it's been that way. It's been that way before the 2 world wars. So there's a saying that poor men die for rich men to get richer. That is the truest saying you're ever going to hear. Because what's happening, the working class are always used. And that's what's happening now with all the flags and situations and the reform situation, the immigration situation. They are making, a government still have some kind of rules. Even though they could do what they want, they still have to follow some very loosely based rules for themselves. So they still need to be elected, they stuff like that. So they get along, they say what they need to say to get elected, and then they go completely opposite against it. So we're in a bad situation.
What's been the reaction to the content you put out from your own community?
Yeah.
Has it been positive? I see it.
I get mixed reviews. But I'm one of these people that go out of their way, really, to entertain people, to educate them. Because education's key at the end of the day. So it's no point if I have Dave, the random geezer from down the road from where my mum lives, say to me, "You're a sellout." Because I get told that you're a sellout. I'll explain. Who have I sold out? I can read out a message I got on my phone last night, if you like, from a stranger. Bear in mind, yeah. So let's see if I can find this message quick. So this is a complete stranger, so I shouldn't be entertaining them. I shouldn't be messaging back.
Where's this? Instagram?
Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this geezer.
Name and shame, Danny. Name and shame.
But no, I don't want to do that, because like I said, he's entitled to his opinion.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So yes, I've spoken to him about watches in the past, and then randomly out of the blue, "Are you Muslim?" Yes, mate, I am. he wrote pathetic. Yeah.
Damn.
So I entertained him a bit wrong this time. I'd looked at his WhatsApp picture and said, mate, you look like a seal, and sent him a picture of a seal. And then he actually laughed back at that. That was no problem. Loved, and then called me pork boy. Anyway, last night he sent a message of the start of the podcast you put up. I was wearing the I'm Not a Trapper t-shirt.
Yeah.
You're a bunch of criminals, very mature t-shirt, bro. I've written back like criminals, people just trying to break cycles. Like actually written quite a long thing about who is the criminal, the people that let the paedophiles walk out of court, or the people that are avoiding tax get to prison time. So he's like, you're delusional. You don't strike me as the type to be easily led, but you've been brainwashed.
I seen that comment on a YouTube short I put up of you, saying you've been brainwashed. Yeah.
Well, this is the perfect response, because if you look, I did put a very long response in. Yeah, I've been brainwashed. You go to work, you pay tax, you buy a house, you pay interest, you marry a woman that's had several sexual partners and compares them to all of their past sexual partners because she's brainwashed. About being liberal and that boss, you buy stuff with your already taxed money and you pay taxes on that. You live in a house that has stamp duty and taxed on the money that you pay for the house with. You then get a mortgage with high interest in it. And then you pay council tax on top of that. And then when you die, your kids are taxed for the money you pay tax on your whole life. Brother, I ain't mad at you. It's you that's been brainwashed. Didn't get an answer back. Because what can you say? Who has been brainwashed? And I see it when I see Tommy Robinson talk. When Alfie took his Shahada, I don't know if he spoke about this on the podcast last, Tommy Robinson texted him and said, you've been brainwashed. Who's the one that's been brainwashed here? Because our society has been brainwashed. We've been brainwashed to hate ourselves as English. I remember when I was a kid at school, I wasn't Muslim, I was Christian going to school, I was a white kid growing up in South London, and anyone that put a flag up, it was seen as you're racist. So who was telling them then that they was racist to do that? It was our government leaders. Do you know what I mean? The tax situation, the prison system, like everything's set up to destroy us, to keep us as slaves. And I don't know if we spoke about this last time, but if you think about it realistically, we go to school, you go to a normal state school, you get told that if you do good on your GCSEs, you can get a job working for someone else and you can pay loads of tax, and then maybe you'll save up, and then maybe if you're lucky enough, by the time you're 30, you'll get a mortgage and you'll celebrate your mortgage and wave your keys around on Instagram. You've bought a big debt, and then you die, and then your kids get taxed on that money you've already taxed. You got road tax on your car, you got council tax on your house, you got stamp duty when you buy your house. Hang about. I feel like you must have been brainwashed here, Mr. Robinson, because anything that's good for you has been taken away from you. Anything that's good for society has been taken away from society. Porn's everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Kids these days, 16 years old, watching porn. What rights have they got to watch porn? Why would you want to do that? It's over-sexualization.
What do you think of, just on that point there, Australia's now banned social media for under 18s?
Perfect. Social media. I'll tell you an example of this, yeah? I was speaking to a police officer recently in Bromley Police Station, and we were sitting there having a chat, and this police officer just so happened to work in, I don't know what it'd be called, a sexual department, and he was dealing with paedophilia stuff. And he told me that he's free little girls do not have social media. One of them 21 years old, he will not let them have social media because 90% of his cases are linked to kids on kids sexual harassment stuff, is kids that watch porn chasing the buzz. So that they actually mentioned Bailey Blue. So Bailey Blue he was dealing with a case recently that a little girl was watching Bailey Blue, 13 years old, online, and because of that, she decided to sexually abuse a 6-year-old girl. Because of social media, because she was on social media. Bailey Blue's come up as she's scrolling through. She's then got the bug for this kink, whatever it is, of sexual absolute perverseness, and she's then decided to attack a kid. So it is a shown link that if you over-sexualize children, they will be over-sexualized adults. And then what happens then? They chase the buzz. If that's the kink they've got, they're going to chase that. Do you understand? And that's never going to go from them. Do you know what I mean? The boys that killed Jamie Bolger, what happened to them? They went to prison within 6 months of getting out. They re-offended. They kept looking at child porn. So they had that in them. There's no way of getting out of it. But what do we do with them in our criminal justice system? We act like it's not morally wrong. We act like it's a disease, like these people got diseases. They've got disease, that's sick. Do you know what I mean? And then Tom Robinson will pump up, you want Sharia law in England? I do, you're right. Because you know what happens in Sharia law to paedophiles? Kill them. That's the only cure for paedophilia is death. End of conversation.
I think a lot of the kind of the stick you've got for some of the far right, i.e. Tommy Robinson, I think a lot of it's like people think that you're going to lose your identity of being British. Yeah. And when I look at you, I never see that.
Yeah.
I see somebody who's proud of their country,
100%.
Who's proud of where they're from, gives back to his community in Lewisham, done a lot of stuff with Millwall Football Club, integration. I've commented on a lot of your stuff myself and think that you're actually one of the good, positive role models and a reason of voice for young Muslims. Setting up a business and do what you're doing. So I feel like you can never win with some people.
You're never going to win because these people ain't educated. They're not smart. They hate something they don't understand. So that's when I get these messages of you being brainwashed, etc., or people bring up something about Islam which they don't agree with. They hold on to that one thing and because they don't use logic, they just attack. So they might stroll through again social media, which is very bad for the community, and on social media, I come across something that they don't agree with. Burqas, for instance, women wear burqas, they have to cover up. Your women have to cover up. No, they don't. They choose every day to cover themselves up for God. So that automatically, if a woman's wearing a burqa, it's telling me she's a good person, or at least she's trying to be a good person. Do you know what I mean? And Muslims, as a whole, we are not all great. Do you know what I mean? None of us are. Do you know what I mean? We're just people that are trying to be better. Some people are trying hardest than others. Do you know what I mean? Some people call themselves Muslims that don't try at all. Do you know what I mean? But it's about trying to be the best person you can be, not losing your identity. Like phobes, for instance. Like people identify phobes with Islam. To me, what's the phobe got to do with Islam? The Prophet wore a two-piece over. So if you wanted to live like the Prophet, you might wear a two-piece. But at the end of the day, he's the most perfect example of a man that's lived. So we can aspire to be like him, but we're never going to be like him. We're never going to be as good as him. We can only wish to be half as good as him. Do you know what I mean? So I don't wear phobes. I might have worn a phobe 2 or 3 times for an Eid celebration or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's in your heart. What's in your heart? Islam is perfect. Muslims ain't. So don't judge anything that a Muslim does on Islam. Judge Islam for Islam. And to do that, you have to educate yourself on that matter. So don't hate something you don't know about. If you hated that, do what I done. I didn't like Islam at the start. So what did I do? I educated myself on it.
I feel like one of the videos that really stood out to me recently, I think it was an Englishman that said he'd fly the Palestine flag and the English flag.
Yeah.
And I think that was brilliant for me to see that, because we have a Sunday League team, and when we go to games like in the Sunday FA Cup, we'll take the St. George's flag and the Palestine flag because we're proud to be.
Yeah. But the powers that control the media and stuff like that will have you believing you can't follow both teams. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't be a Palestine, I wouldn't even say supporter, empathizer. You can't be a Palestine empathizer and be patriotic. Why can't you? Do you know what I mean? You can. You clearly can. Do you know what I mean? You can love what you love. The same as if you can call yourself a cat and do you know what I mean? Dress up in high heels and you can do that, but you can't be sympathetic to innocent people being murdered. Come on, make it make sense.
I think that's the conflict as well, because when the big march happened not too long ago, I did think about the likes of people like yourself, Danny, where it's like, I'm sure you're proud to be British. Mm-hmm. You'd love to be able to raise your flag, but now it's like, because of these things that are happening, where does that leave those people who are both patriotic and also able to integrate with other people?
You're exactly right there, because it's like, it does get conflicting for people. Mm. But this is where you have to keep using logic and you have to keep learning, because without logic, you got nothing. Do you know what I mean? So when I see that march, first of all, I'm talking to people and I'm like, mate, you're being tricked to go to that march. And people was tricked to go to that march. Mm. Let's not pretend it is something that it weren't. That was labelled as a patriotic march. Mm. That was not a patriotic march. That was a pure anti-Islamic march. And that's how they was putting people in the box. So some people are generally worried about their country. Mm. And so they should be. The main topic, immigration, yeah? Boats and boats of fighting age men are coming into the country. That's the scare tactic, yeah? Okay. These people are coming to the country. Yes, if you're coming in illegally, that is wrong. Mm-hmm. Fact. No one can argue with that. If the first thing you do entering a country is illegal, then that is not a good sign for what you're going to do while you're in the country. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The first step is illegal. So people that was generally worried, they get their flags, they think, yes, we're going to fight this cause. We've got someone leading us finally, because that's what people need, leadership. We got Tommy Robinson, he's going to lead us. He gets them there. He walks over London Bridge with his banner, and to the right of him is a Polish MP that's known for being anti-Islam, that calls Arabs, don't know why Arabs, because it ain't an Arab religion. Do you know what I mean? Jesus was from Bethlehem, the same place as the whole Bible come from. So to the right of him was this Polish guy, and then to the right of her was a woman called Vanessa
Valdez.
something or another, Brazilian woman. She was known for burning Qurans. Yeah, you got Katie Hopkins, anti-Islamist. Do you know what I mean? You had another MP from the Netherlands that stood up on the stage that day of the march and said Islam is the real enemy. Hang about, what is this march for? Do you know what I mean? Make it make sense. Use logic. Is this march for Britain, for British, or is it to slander Islam? You have to make it make sense. And the people that went to the march, I think a lot of people was disappointed, because I was telling people, look, don't go. It's all nonsense. It's all just propaganda. It's all just ways of winning this game that they're playing, this political game to divide and conquer, because that's all it is, divide and conquer. And after they still went, and after they messaged me, do you know what? You was right. There was the hackers from New Zealand. You see them? The little weirdos, hunna, ripping flags.
The chanting.
Exactly that. So that's a traditional thing that they was doing. So people are like, yeah, this is nice, which it is. It's a nice traditional thing from their culture.
Yeah.
So it was that, and then they start ripping Palestinian flags. So hang about, you've used that nice bit of culture and turn it bad with a finny. So then if you look at them 5 things that we've just mentioned there, and you look at the common denominator, so we look at the Polish MP, we look at Vanessa, whatever her name is, from Brazil. We look at the Netherlands MP that said Islam is the real enemy. We look at the New Zealand guys. What's the common denominator there?
Hate Islam.
Islam, but they're all foreign. How is it a march for Great Britain if everyone speaking's foreign? But no one's using logic here. They're just listening to that and then listening to anti-Islam and thinking, yeah, Muslims are the problem. Muslims ain't the problem. Muslims the cure. That's what Islam is. It is the cure. It will stop all the taxing. 2.5% tax we have to pay. 2.5%. It will stop the interest on the banks for the mortgages, so our kids will be able to get mortgages. At the moment, the average age of buying a house is 30 years old. People have to struggle, go to work 5 days a week, pay tax on their money to build up enough to buy a debt. Logically makes no sense. It's all absolute nonsense.
Moving on from that subject, just before we do move on, what would be your piece of advice for people in the community from both sides, and what do you think is the best kind of option for people?
Education. It has to be education. If you see something, on TikTok that gets thrown in your face, information thrown in people's faces, because that's the best weapon. Netanyahu said it on stage. He was talking about the person that was buying TikTok. We need to buy TikToks. We need to push the narrative. His own words. So information. If you see a bit of information online, someone saying in Afghanistan they marry children, do you know what I mean? Blah, 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 blah. Educate yourself on it. Find out if it's true. Find out if that picture of that 70-year-old man with that 9-year-old girl just ain't someone's granddad at a wedding. Do you know what I mean? Don't just take it at face value. Do you know what I mean? Educate yourself on it. The Prophet Muhammad said he made it obligatory for all of us to keep gaining knowledge. That's it. Take advice from that. Keep gaining knowledge. Whether you believe Prophet Muhammad was a prophet, whether you believe he was a warmonger, whatever you believe of him, just take something and run with it. Like I said, look what I did. I only started reading the Quran because I wanted to find problems in it. So, and that's what led me to be a Muslim. So I'm not saying it's going to lead you to be a Muslim. It might make you be a better Christian. Do you know what I mean? It might make you be a better Jew, but just educate yourself. It might just be a better human being. Do you know what I mean? Forget the religion part of it.
The statement we hear very often these days is, this is a Christian country, but a lot of Muslims want this to be a Christian country.
That's exactly what I said when I last spoke with Imam Shakil. Make England Christian again. As a Muslim, I'm saying this. Make it Christian. Teach our kids Christian values at school. True Christians. Because at the moment, what we got is in this Church of England, ain't Christianity. It says in the Bible, don't eat swine. Have you ever met a Christian that don't eat pork? Unless it's for preference. It says do not be drunk. Do not get drunk in the Bible. You call yourself Christian because it's a part of your identity you was born with, because you was born in a so-called Christian country. Like, it's absolute. Again, you've not used logic. A lot of people that I meet here and they say, yeah, I'm Christian. Okay, tell me what you like about the Bible. They have no clue. They haven't been taught the Bible, and it's not their fault. I'm not digging at them. I'm digging at our government, our leaders. Do you know what I mean? If it's a Christian country, be Christian. Because at the moment, it's an atheist country. And then this is where people like Tommy get to push his narrative. So he gets to say things like, they want Sharia law here. Because Sharia law, we don't. We want Christian law, but we ain't got that. So what we're going to want instead? We're going to want Sharia law. We're going to want a set guide of morals to follow. Because at the moment, what have we got in the UK? We've got no moral compass. None. Our moral compass spinning around like this. No one knows what's what. No one knows to call who what. No one knows why a man's walking in a girl's toilet or a girl's walking in a man's toilet, or why that girl's got tits and a moustache. Everyone's confused. And there's no leadership because there's no moral compass. Do you know what I mean? And I don't see it getting better unless the whole system fixes itself. And that is, from the start, politically, lobbying. Stop that. Stop that. Do you know what I mean? Stop these big companies putting money into people to push their own agendas. Because otherwise we're going down a pound. We're following their agendas. Porn's a massive industry. Alcohol's a massive industry. Interest is a massive industry. Islam stops all them, but we ain't going to go too much about that. So should Christianity. Do you know what I mean? If it's a Christian country, take the Christian values back. Do you know what I mean? Take the country back as a Christian.
You grew up in a Christian household?
Yep.
Did you go to church?
I went to church.
How was that?
I like church. I did like church. I used to go to a church called Popcorn Children Church in Downhill, just on the outskirts of Lewisham. And we used to get a little bit of popcorn at the end of the church every day, a little incentive from going to church. There were some things in church I didn't, that never sat 100% right to me at that church. I don't know what, because there's so many different labels in the churches. I don't know which one it was, but it was, they would put a hand on your head and they would start blah, 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 and people start doing some weird shaking stuff and that. I don't know if you get out of your church or not. Yeah. And they would talk a lot of stuff, but yeah, certain things didn't sit right for me. But like I said, I'm not an advocate of just Islam. I'm an advocate of having a connection with your creator. Do you know what I mean? We talked about Sorrel Bakker earlier. It says Jews, Christians and Sabians will all have their reward in heaven as long as they do righteous deeds. Yeah, that's not the only time that's mentioned. Muslim men, Muslim women, believing women, charitable men, charitable women. I think it's Surah Ibrahim. Is a list of 10, 15 different things. If God wanted just to say Muslim men and Muslim women were going to heaven, he wouldn't have mentioned the other stuff, in my opinion. The same as if he just wanted Muslims to go to heaven, he wouldn't mentioned Muslims, Christians and Sabians will have their reward in heaven. So
your journey is quite interesting though, because you mentioned earlier on in the pod that you read the Quran to find faults in it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a long period of time where people around you were taking their shahada.
Mm-hmm.
How come it took so long?
I wasn't using logic. So when I'm telling people to use logic, I'm saying it from my own experience. So when I first read the Quran, I was like, oh mate, there's no problems here. Like this feels like, because in Christianity, I always had a couple of things. I'm not bashing Christianity again, but I always had a couple of things that didn't sit right with me. Jesus being God, but in the Bible it says, don't call me good, I'm not good, God is good. So how can he be God if he did? It also speaks about Jesus speaking to God. If I know everything, God knows everything, you're both the all-knowing, the all-wise, the all-seeing, how are we talking? What are we talking about? There's nothing to talk about. Do you know what I mean? If me and you both see the same stuff, the identical twins, see the same stuff from birth, and everything we see, I'm not going to then say to you like, oh, do you see that blue bird? I know you see that blue bird because you know everything and you can see everything. And I can see that bird because you know everything and I can see everything. So there's so many things in the Bible that tells me that Jesus is not God. But then I am told, because I'm English, I'm a Christian, that Jesus is God and I have to blindly follow that logic. So when I first read the Quran and Jesus wasn't God, Jesus is the Messiah, Jesus will return to save us, Jesus wasn't crucified on a cross, he was taken back to heaven because God will not humiliate one of his prophets like that. That to me was like, okay, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense. There was nothing that didn't make sense.
I think it's definitely, I think last time we spoke about it, it's a problem that the church has in trying to address things from a logical point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what it is for a lot of Christians out there as well, it's my question to you, just
mm-hmm.
for the sake of conversation, is when I think of a omnipotent God being all powerful and whatso, sometimes I lean away from the rational logic because in my head I somewhat think I'm not supposed to be able to completely comprehend the essence of a divine human being. Divine celestial. That meaning, sorry to go on so long.
Sure.
But if God wanted to be three people, why couldn't he?
He could.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could, 100%. But like you said...
and I think that's how certain Christians just get over, because it is hard to explain the Trinity, let's be honest.
It's impossible to explain logically. Do you know what I mean? And that's why you have the third part of the Trinity, the Holy Spirit. So when we come back to brainwashing again, you've been told that the Holy Spirit is the third part of the Trinity, which is the feeling inside that you have of a creator. Everyone's got the feeling inside of a creator. It's called... what's the word I'm looking for?
I think consciousness.
Yeah, your consciousness is a word. Intuition. Everyone's got intuition of a creator. Do you know what I mean? We've all got that intuition, but the trickery is, let's fill the intuition with the Holy Spirit. So now people won't question so much why there's a Trinity. Does that make sense? So the logic goes out the window with that argument.
But I think we're probably saying the same thing, but a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I think it's still that thing where people then leave it up to, okay, I'm dealing with a being that's past my own understanding at this point.
100%. But it's the same in Islam. It's possible. So in Christianity, again, it's kind of like dumbed down a little bit. God made man in his own image. Really? So then it's fairy tale stuff now. God's in a cloud with a white beard. So I don't believe Islamically that God is in our image. I don't believe he has eyes, nose and a mouth. He's the creator. He's the source of energy that can create. That's it. We don't know if he's got eyes, lips, nose, mouth, tongue, taste buds. And then that's the way it's dumbed down in Christianity. Again, I'm not bashing Christianity. If you're going to be a Christian, please be a Christian. Please be a really good Christian. Do you know what I mean? Follow Jesus. I'm the biggest advocate. If you follow Jesus, if Jesus come back now to earth, which he is going to return, as a Muslim, I'm saying this. So when he comes back, do you think he's going to look at the average Christian and say, you're a Christian? He's not. He's going to be ashamed. He's going to say, look at you. What are you? Are you following my rules? Are you following the way I live my life? And it's the same for Sahabas, for us, for Muslims. Like a Sahaba from back then, if I become like a Sahaba now, what would I get called? I get called extreme. I'll get called an extremist. But if a Sahaba from then come back into this room right now, what do they say to me? They say, you're not even Muslim. You're not even Muslim. You do what? You pray Salah? You do what? Do you know what I mean? So one thing can be extreme, one thing can be completely not. And with the Christianity, it's watered down, especially here. Maybe the Orthodox and that are a lot more stronger, but Church of England, what does that mean? Church of England, we got all your people waving their flags and saying, get them out of their country. What does that flag represent? St. George. Where is St. George from? Palestine and Turkey. Like, make it make sense. Use logic. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
I think one thing that we can gauge from this conversation is there's a lot more common ground that we have in common with each other. And one thing I want to get on this podcast, and having heard you before on your platforms, is that's the message you're trying to get across.
That is the message. It's not black, it's not white, it's not brown, it's not yellow, it's not Muslim, it's not Jewish, it's not Christian, it's not Buddha. It's none of these things. It's good v evil. But the evil would use every trick in its book. Maybe Shaitan's the most deceiving, the most manipulative, the most horrible. So he will use every trick in his book. He will go down to the kind of designer clothes you're wearing. I can't be friends with him. He's wearing a Dior jacket. Do you know what I mean? Because he's a trickster. But realistically, it comes to humanity. It comes to good and bad. If you're a good person, it doesn't matter if you're from England. It doesn't matter if you're from Bengali. It doesn't matter where you're from. Or you are Bengali, sorry. It doesn't matter where you're from or what you are, what religion you are, you're not. We know the Prophet Muhammad himself, he went to war with allies that were Jewish. Do you know what I mean? So how can you say that every Muslim has to kill every non-believer? That's not right, mate. It's not. It doesn't logically make sense.
Yeah, for sure. How has your life changed since you come to Islam and shaped who you are today?
So just the 5 pillars of Islam has changed me completely. And that's the most basics. Do you know what I mean?
What are the 5 pillars? So
prayer, believing in only one God and all of the prophets. You have to believe in Jesus. You have to believe in Noah. You have to believe in Moses to be a Muslim. Charity, performing Hajj, and fasting. But charity, like, I wasn't given much charity before as a Christian, and as a Christian you should, but I wasn't pushed in that direction so much. It was more, now it's one of my 5 pillars of the religion. So charity is one of the most important things to me. Praying, one of the most important things to me. And again, when we talk about praying, the narrative can be changed. Why would the Almighty Creator need to be bowed to? Why would he need to be? The truth is, he don't. It's for us. It's our reset. So I wake up in the morning, I pray Fajr. Yeah, that sets me off for a good standard for the day. I feel good. I've woke up. I've got Fajr out the day with. I feel like I've accomplished something from the jump. Yeah. I then halfway through the day, I'm human. Sometimes I slip up. Sometimes I'm driving the car down the road. I might get divorced here. I might see a pretty woman and have a look over. But if I pray, that takes my mind completely off that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I might sit there, say I'm going through a low point of iman, more religiously, yeah, and I start being greedy again. I start thinking, I want more money. I pray, and that resets that for me again. So the prayer is not just for Allah. It's not just for God. Sorry, that's the Arabic word of Allah. Again, it's not a different God to Christianity. It's not a different God to Jews. It's the one God. It just means God in Arabic. Then once I pray, it resets me from everything. So that praying's really for me. It's a reminder to me that what I am, what I stand for. Do you know what I mean? I don't stand for this sexual stuff. I don't stand for greed. I don't stand for money. I stand for charity. Do you know what I mean? I stand for being married and having a family. I stand for all that stuff. I don't stand for all this evil that gets pushed at me.
I think one of the key points I take from this and knowing you off camera is your discipline. I think it's instilled a lot of discipline, not obviously into your life, but generally when people I speak to reverts, they say I'm a lot more disciplined now. Yeah, family values. What is it that's inspired those around you to take their shahada? Because I know your mother and you've had family relatives have also taken their shahada. What's been the response generally from them, and kind of how have they taken to it?
So normally I get the same response from a lot of people. It's like, first of all, they ask why. And then the minute they ask why, the minute I explain why, and I say, look, just read, educate yourself. And you, like, if God wants someone, it says in the Quran actually, that if whoever God guides, no one can misguide. Whoever God misguides, no one can guide. So if you're following a set of rules, you have to live by that example. So people first ask, they say to me, Dan, why have you become Muslim? And I get it all. I get like, oh, I guessed it was for the money, mate. I guessed you because you work in jewellery. A lot of jewellers are Muslim, so you do that. You get absolutely everything. Up to George, my partner, he actually thought that I'd done something really, really bad, and I was scared I was going to hell. So he was like, what's happened here? So you get a lot of questions, but once you just sit people down and explain to them, look, just educate yourself. Do what I did. You got a problem with it or you ain't got a problem with it. Just educate yourself. Same for my mum. My mum, obviously Christian. I went to church with my mum probably 2 months before I took my shahada. And then she said, what's this about? I said, here's a Quran, read it. Read it back to front. I think it was 3 times in a month. Decided to take a shahada straight away within a month or two. Then, then my younger brother took his shahada. My nephew took his shahada. My other brother took his shahada. It's just like, has a domino effect because people see the change in you. People see the discipline in you. So without discipline, you get slack, and you, like I said, without the praying, you start losing yourself again, and you have low iman. And then, but when you've got the prayers and you've got everything around you, you're more consistent. It's like a business. Do you know what I mean? A country, anything that's run has to be run tight. It has to be ship shape, and you have to stick to the rules. You have to do the rules. This business here, the Secret Garden, if everyone didn't get in at a certain time, do you know what I mean? Do their paperwork before, it wouldn't work as a business, would it? Do you know what I mean? No business would. So life doesn't work like that. You need the guidance.
So I think that takes me to my next point about Secret Garden. Successful business.
Alhamdulillah. All praise be to God. That means it's just Arabic.
But before we dive into that, can I just ask something you said earlier about, I think it was prayer. Do you think that the initial plan, now this is more theology, forgot the word I'm looking for, but do you think we were made to pray or to worship God?
100%.
The reason I ask now is because in the Bible, Adam and Eve are first created to dwell, they're given things that they can do, but essentially it's for the fellowship of between God and man. We do not actually see them having to do anything that might be described as worship or prayer until that fall where they have sinned. That's when, after they're put out of the garden, they now have to bring these like sacrifices or forms of worship towards God. And like I said in the Bible as well, we do have a quote where it says that like God doesn't need us for that essence, because I don't think it's that superficial that you created something to just be like, yeah, right, tell me how good I am. Because the Bible also says he can raise a stone or this chair to give him praise if he wanted to.
Yeah.
I think it's to elaborate on the pact between man and God is supposed to be one of fellowship. So I guess my question to you is, do you think that was always how it was intended to be, or are we now given prayers a structure to keep us more in line?
I think that's always how it's intended to be. So you got to think from an Islamic point of view as well. Adam was the first man on earth, and we are created to worship, but that worship is for ourselves again. So God has no ego, so he doesn't need these ego strokes and things like that. It is, if we don't have the prayer, that's when we get lost, which like I said, like myself, I said, my eyes start wandering, my greed will start kicking off. It could be anything. Do you know what I mean? And it is that prayer that always brings me back. So it would have been the same from the time of Adam.
Yeah.
And it would be the time throughout history. Do you know what I mean? The best of people on earth are going to be the people that are praying, the people that have a moral compass, the people that keep themselves grounded by keeping grounded, the most humble of people. Do you know what I mean?
For sure, I agree with that a lot, because that's one thing I really respect about Islam, the concept of praying 5 times a day. I imagine you're less likely to do things that you're not supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
Just because you've had that proximity of being in worship.
You're exactly right.
I was only in worship 2 hours ago.
Exactly.
What are you doing?
Exactly.
Doing
But humans, we are thick. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So some of us could do that. Yeah. But that's because we are like, we're not as great as we think we are. Do you know what I mean? We might have been God's favorite creation, but we're not as great because we got this free will. We're not as great as we think we are, but we need to keep praying. No matter what we do, we need to keep praying to reset us. The boys will tell you here that when they're lowest of a man, that's when they'll be the silliest of people or the scattiest of people. It's the same for all of us. Do you know what I mean? You start, some people start swearing more. Some people start doing more stuff that they wouldn't normally do if they was on it. That's why Ramadan's a good thing. It's like your 5 prayers a day is like a mini reset. It's like you reset. Did you change that?
No, we're good. We're rolling.
Okay. And then, so yeah, so the 5 prayers.
Messed me up. Now I've got to edit that bit up.
That's all right. So the 5 prayers a day are a mini reset. And then we come down once a year for a Ramadan. And then the Ramadan's a hard reset. Do you know what I mean? You're starving yourself. And where you're starving yourself, it's making you, also what you have to do is give more charity and pray more. So it's bringing you back to grounding you to restart your cycle. And you ask any Muslim, when are the best of Muslims? Is during Ramadan. And maybe the month after, maybe the 2 months after, maybe the 3 months after, maybe you go to Umrah. Do you know what I mean? It recycles you. But is that for God's sake or is that for our sake? It's for our sake because we need grounding, because we're human, because we have these arrogance, these short memory, these flaws.
We're speaking about Secret Garden just before Link had that question. Can you just explain to our customers what Secret Garden is? And a point I wanted to make is, how does a boy from Lewisham, from a council estate, end up in Hatton Garden? Not saying it's something that's not happened before, but I think it's a really real MVP story. And one of the reasons why we're here is to get people like yourself to encourage other young people, or not even just young people, people as a whole, and the next generation to try and, do something with themselves. So
the question is, what is the Secret Garden, and how does a boy from Lewisham get into a position where he owns a shop like Secret Garden? So Secret Garden is a jewellers that in Hatton Garden, London. Without being too egotistical, I'll say it's one of the top 10 jewellers in the country, possibly Europe. We're worldwide. We do stuff in Dubai. We do stuff all around the world. We ship stuff to Australia. Do you know what I mean? To America, completely worldwide. All praise to God. Do you know what I mean? First and foremost, how does that happen to a kid like me? And let's just give a little bit of details in the venue. You sound from Lewisham, but I'm from Lewisham, from very poor background. Weren't always food on the table, and that ain't exaggeration. That is like some people play poverty and say like, I didn't have food because they didn't have a snack cupboard. Do you know what I mean? Nowadays we got it good. Do you know what I mean? We can have pick if we want a digestive or a wagon wheel or a penguin. Do you know what I mean? But genuinely, sometimes me and my sister had no food to eat. Mum didn't have no money, nothing. Holes in trainers, holes in tracksuit bottoms. That was literally how I grew up. First pair of Nikes I stole off someone's doorstep. Not that I'm proud of it, but I wanted something that I didn't have. Do you know what I mean? And they were size 11, way too big, flopped them to school. I was probably a size 8 or 7 at a time. How does that poor kid get to be successful financially? Only God could have done that. Only God. And hard work and God. Without God, I couldn't have done it. Do you know what I mean? It would have been impossible. And sometimes I look back on my life now, certain stages of my life, and then look where I am. Today I had a meeting with a private jet company. They want to stock some of our watch, the biggest private jet, I won't name them, biggest private jet company in the world. Yeah. They've made their brand like a Finney brand, like a top tier brand. They want us to exhibit our secret garden in their flagship stores, Biggin Hill, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. Do you know, how does that happen? It's got to be God. Could be nothing else but divine intervention.
How do you feel when you look back at Danny now and opposed to Danny that, what was there ever a point where you say you didn't believe in God and you were just perhaps going through the motion in the Christian?
I wouldn't say there was a point where I didn't believe in God, but maybe there was points in my life where I completely put God to the back of my mind. Do you know what I mean? I've done some prison time, things like that, and maybe I wasn't thinking about God then. I was thinking about myself selfishly. Do you know what I mean? That would have happened 100%. But I wouldn't, if someone had asked me the question, do you believe we were created? Logically, I'd always say, yes, we have a creator. How can we not have a creator? The human body's too perfect not to be created. You can go into the finest of details, to our fingertips, to our 100 million or 100,000 nerves in the back of your eyeball, and feel like, how can that not be created? That can just be something, me and you having this conversation. Do you know what I mean? It says in the Quran that all the signs are there, you just have to see them. Do you know what I mean? And the signs are there. Like, we take everything for granted, again, because human beings ain't the best of people. Like, you see grass growing. You can see grass growing out of a gutter on a roof, and no one takes no notice of it. But that's something that's formed. Do you know what I mean? From a gutter. Probably a bird was eating a seed and it's flew over and dropped a seed in there. Do you think mathematically, if you done it in, say, like you flipped a coin, heads or tails, it's 1 in 2 chances. So now you have a coin and you flip it and it lands on us having this conversation. You flip a coin and it give you an eyeball. It's logically impossible without being created. It is logically impossible. The theory of evolution is logically impossible. If you have nothing in your hand, there's never going to be anything in your hand. There's something creates something in your hand. And so there has to be something that's created, a creator, something that was always there and always will be there, a creator. You can't get something from nothing. And if there's something that was always been there and always been there and always will be there, then it is the creator. That's it. There's no logical argument for there not being a creator. And again, we get brainwashed slightly and we get told that there's a man in the clouds to confuse us. We get told stories of Father Christmas, which is a man that can see you and know if you've been good, know if you've been bad. What does that sound like to you boys? Do you know what I mean? It sounds like God, right? And then we get to 6 years old and we're told, no, that man's not real. Do you know what I mean? Again, it's mind games with us to keep us enslaved, to keep us just going to work, paying our taxes and die, and we pay our taxes and our children gets left to be slaves.
Do you feel like those who don't believe, is it coming from a place of ego?
Nah, sometimes, like, again, the Shaitan's the best of trickers. Yeah. So he will give us anything to trick us. And a lot of people I hear say words like manifesting now. Manifesting is a very dangerous word because you can manifest stuff 100%. Like, you're praying for it is what you're doing, but they will trick you into manifestation to say you have the power of creation. So we don't have power of creation.
And I think that's kind of where society is really at the moment. We are fully, because of technology and AI, we are really expressing our desires to be godlike, in which has taken us in a
very dangerous. We have egos, we compete with each other, which is, again, we're human. So that's why we have to follow a set of guidance and a set of rule lines. Without that, what is the end goal? Let's look at 2 sides of it. Yeah. If people say religions cause more wars than anything, that's not true. It's good v evil. There's good behind some religion, there's bad behind some religion, on all of the religions. Yeah. So for an example, I forgot where I was going with this point. That was a good point as well. I could feel it at the tip of my tongue. What were we talking about before? What was the question?
So essentially the non-believers
you're mentioning good and bad in all religions, and then the war.
Yeah,
that was the point.
I forgot my point.
We'll come back to it.
Cool.
I think it's quite a deep topic, and obviously a lot of this
podcast has been quite deep, to be honest.
But to take it to to a different kind of setting. I want to speak to you about jewelry.
Cool.
Is jewelry still the ultimate status symbol?
I'd say so, yeah. Yeah, it's the ultimate show of wealth.
I was going to ask why is that, but I think that describes it basically. It's the show of wealth.
It's a show of wealth, yeah. So no matter what your jewelry is, it could be gold. If you're showing off your gold, you're showing off you've got a lot of wealth. That's how it would have started. And now it's changed slightly into watches and things like that. Don't get me wrong, it's not a blanket. Like I said, don't put it in a box and say if that person's wearing a Patek, they're rich, or if that person's wearing a tag, they're not rich, etc. Do you know what I mean? Because some people like watches for different things. So try not to put it in a box, but it's definitely the most biggest sample of wealth.
So this is a tricky one for you then. How does it feel as a Muslim how do you reconcile engaging in this industry? Because essentially, in some sense, I believe you can sell to me a watch because you see the value in it. But we can identify that people have become attached, and it somewhat endorses this attachment to materialistic things that take us away from the attachment to the divine. How do we then...
I mean, you can be attached to something and then not take you away from being attached to God. So that's like putting it in a box again. It's like, I'm attached to my children. I love my children. It doesn't mean it disattaches me from God at all. So it even though it's the biggest show of wealth, it doesn't also... So look at my watch, for instance. Yeah. So I don't wear gold watches anymore. I could wear a big flashy gold watch and that would be me getting disattached from God. Now I wear a watch with a rubber strap, which is quite low key. And a lot of people would look at this watch and it wouldn't be a status symbol. It's only certain people that know this watch would think, oh, actually, that's a very expensive watch. So it doesn't necessarily because you're doing something. That's kind of like the argument with the far right and the far left. You don't have to be one or the other. You can be bang in the middle. So you could be focused and you could have your attachment to God, and you can also have some attachment to earthly belongings, as long as you know and you can see and you're sincere that earthly attachment is not going to take you away. I know some people, for an example, that their watch is everything or their jewelry is everything. They've been disattached by God. Do you know what I mean? So that's a whole different story, but that's down to them, between them and their creator. We try not to judge too much. You know what I mean? Because who am I to judge? You'll find some religious people, Muslims as well, that mostly Muslims, furthermore, that will say, oh, you can't do that. You're going to go to hell. Who are you to commit that? Do you know what I mean? Who are you to say that? Do you know what I mean? Are you giving yourself that, like you said earlier, that status of God?
I think maybe for me, just to kind of really push you there a little bit, is I think I'm looking more at the participation of being within the industry. And I struggle with this myself as a portrait beauty photographer. I like to think I take somewhat beautiful photography. But however, that could cause the viewer to now have this, especially them being women most of the time. I now have somewhat risked this participation in causing my brother to sin because I put this woman in front of him.
Again, Islam has the answers for this. So everything in Islam is to do with intention. So if your intention is to make women feel bad by pushing that one woman to look prettier, then you're going to hold a sin for that. Yeah. If my intention is to sell people watch for good investments and not to be flashy and not to be braggy, that's between me and my God, because my intention is coming from a good place. So why do I earn money is the long and short of it. Why do I do this jewelry game? Because it earns good money and I get to give my kids a good life here on earth, and I get to give charity and I get to help people that need it. That is my intention. That's not me trying to sound good for a podcast or saying I give charity, blah, 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 blah. I don't even put my charity online. Most things I do, I don't even put it out there. So it is all intention. So if your intentions are good, I wouldn't worry about if anyone's going to be insecure about it. And that's down to them and their intentions.
And I think that's a fair point to really put there. It's not your responsibility for that person's moral output, because they need to also look within themselves.
Exactly.
And make sure they're doing it for the right reason.
Exactly. Yeah. Can I quickly go to the toilet or not?
Yeah, come on. Sound. Cool.
Secret Garden. We're in a place that's known for jewelry and kind of the hub of jewelry in Hatton Garden. What makes Secret Garden different to the other places in Hatton?
I think it's our, what's the word I'm looking for?
And how did you get on the name?
The name? The name was, we come from a shop. We had a shop in Bromley. So we come here for a shop, and we learned from the shop. So in a shop, a lot of people will come in and just look at stuff and window shop, basically. A lot come in, Snapchat, that. So we decided to get an office. We wanted an office so it was a bit more secret, and we're also in Hatton Garden. So the secret garden kind of just had a ring to it naturally. So yeah, we sat down, me, Bill, and George at the time, we sat down and was going through different names and stuff like that. Would we stick with a name that we had from Bromley? Would we stick I was Custom Kettles at the time before I called myself Danny the Jeweller. And then, yeah, we decided on the secret garden.
And what would you say is what makes you guys stand out to the competitors? Because as we know,
relatability, being relatable to people. We haven't got these egos. We haven't got, look, I wear night tracksuits every day or on-clad tracksuits. We're quite relatable. Do you know what I mean? So let's we don't overdo it. We don't force relationships. We don't pay people to shop with us. If you want to shop with us, you do. If you want to shop with someone else, go there. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah, we're not, I think we're quite relatable people.
Do you think your personal brand and your network and how you are as a person and those who obviously are in business with you has also impacted, I would say, the clout that's associated with you?
Possibly, yeah. I like to fly straight. I like to be open and honest and to the point. Do you know what I mean? So it's we've had opportunities to do certain things and I'll turn them down. Do you know what I mean? And we've had opportunities to do stuff and we've gone with them. So yes, I think just being open, honest and as clear cut as you can be helps a lot. It's like any relationship, isn't it? You're honest with your wife, you're going to get on with your wife. If you're honest with your friends, you're going to get on with your friends. If you're honest with your customers, you're going to get on with them.
How do you turn somebody down in this type of industry?
You got to be honest, mate. You just got to be honest from the start. And that's one thing that we are. We just if I don't like the sound of something, I'm going to say red flag. I don't like the sound of that. Do you know what I mean? You got to be on it.
I think you're very humble in the sense that for those who may not know too much about jewellery or the kind of market at the moment and the secret garden, the likes of the biggest rappers, some of the biggest footballers, some of the biggest celebrities are part of your clientele.
Mm-hmm.
How do you stay grounded, and what made them attract to come to Secret Garden?
Well, that's maybe what attracts them to us, is that we're grounded. I've never met a man in my life, apart from little Hezbollah, that I've wanted to take a picture with. Do you know what I mean? I don't get that. Some people run up to footballers and are like, oh, let me get a picture with you. I don't idolize towards man. Does that make sense? We've been given role models in life. Even as Christians, we've been given role models. We've been given people that we can look up to and we can learn from. So I'm never going to look at another human being like that. Does that make sense? And I think they like that, because someone walks in, you get a rapper walk in and you're not like, oh, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, brother, do you know what I mean? Let me take a picture.
Yeah.
So they kind of makes them feel comfortable on the back of you being comfortable with yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think people like that as well, people in the public sector, are looking for something that helps them keep in touch with society. And sometimes you just want to be treated like a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
I want to go a little bit more lighter, as we kind of swift along. Who would you say, if you can, has been your favorite celebrity customer?
His favourites for different reason. So Potter I'm closest with. I've got to get me and Potter are like this now. Do you know what I mean? We're really close. I'd describe him as one of my best friends.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Tell us a little bit about that. I think Potter recently got married, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. How was that?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. It was a very nice wedding. Yeah, I was one of the best men. He had 3 best men there. 4, sorry. It was a very nice wedding. Very nice.
I like that. Keeping it.
Yeah.
Islamic 4 wives.
Yeah.
Best men, I hear that. Wait, sorry.
Yeah. So it was a really nice wedding. Beautiful wedding, to be honest. A beautiful ceremony.
In the country.
Yeah, so basically he actually done his Nakar when we was in Medina last year. And then he had his formal celebration wedding back here in Surrey.
Is Potter a revert, sorry?
No, he's born. He's Algerian.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's half Algerian, half Irish. So, yeah.
So, just for context, you were wearing the t-shirt on the last podcast, I'm not a trapper.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very simple and clean slogan. Tell us a bit about that and what affiliation that has with.
Right. So what happened was, we make our own hats here, so you can see the Secret Garden hats. I come up with the idea. I'm not a trapper. Actually, I think I've always subconsciously, I see a coat years ago. It was an American designer. I could never buy the coat, and I always tried to buy it from a guy in New York that said retired drug dealer on it. Yeah, I thought it was a cool coat. Yeah, when I was in my younger years. And then a couple of years ago, when I went to make more hats, I come up with the idea, I'm not a trapper. And I got a hat made. Potter seen the hat, really liked it, thought it was cool. And then we decided to do the business together. So we opened I'm Not a Trapper about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now.
Did you guys know each other before?
Oh yeah, we've known each other about 5-6 years now. Yeah, yeah, we've got mutual friends. Like one of his closest friends is from one kind of like town over, I suppose you'll call it, from where I'm from. Do you know what I mean? So it's like all very in-house, but we've got close over the last 5 years. But he's like, yeah, the relationship's completely changed. Like I could comfortably say, like, if I need any advice, like, do you know, like one of your boys that you'd be like, what do you think about this situation? Do you know what I mean? I could ring him and I've respected him enough to take on board what he's saying. And likewise.
As your reputation grew as a brand and your personal brand, what became harder in business, in the sense that becoming kind of quite a luxury service and having these kind of big names that you've got, have you had challenges with that?
Yeah, you can get lost in it sometimes. Yeah, I went for a stage maybe about 6 years ago. I was getting a bit lost in it, making a bit of money and getting carried away, private jet, stuff like that. You can definitely get lost in it. Yeah, but that was before I was a Muslim, which completely brought me back down and grounded me again. And yeah, I couldn't think of anything worse than paying 18 grand for a private jet when there's literally kids starving all around the world. Mad. I can't work it out.
Talking about celebrities,
I don't think you'll get enough. We need the top customers. Top 3.
Oh, so yeah, I'm closest with. Yeah, so he's my proper pal.
We'll have to rule him out. Not allowed.
Okay. Yeah. I really respect Young Ads, only because he's got a certain deal he does with A jewellers, or a certain relationship, with A jewellers, and he makes sure he always comes back to me. Again, he's from Lewisham. So any of his watches he wants, he'll always come to me for a watch, and he doesn't have to do that. No one's ever said to him like, "Oh, why don't you go and shop with Dan?" Do you know what I mean? You're all both from the same area. You're both like got a lot of mutual friends. Like, he's just always done it off his own back. And for I've actually thanked him for it. Last time he came, I said, "Do you know what, brother? Like you're a proper man, because it's easy to get lost in the sauce." Do you know what I mean? But yeah, he always comes back, and he's always loyal to us.
So we got Ads,
Potter, Ads, and I'll tell you what, them two are going to do a song together soon. You just watch. I'm going to make it happen.
Exclusive, yeah.
Inshallah.
Secret Garden. Yeah. Can we get some of the video shot here?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. God willing, we can get that.
Talking about celebrities, there was a viral video in Hatton Garden of certain Floyd Mayweather.
Certain, I love that.
Yeah.
Being allegedly chased out of Hatton Garden.
Yeah. You want to go into that?
Yeah, I'd like to go into that.
So I'll tell you exactly what happened. Yeah. So basically, I was down here, was working on this at the moment, was building the masjid and the polish room here, and someone called me up and was like, "Oh, Mayweather's upstairs," and this was about 2 years ago, in the height of the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Floyd was openly supporting Israel that were murdering babies on a daily basis. Yeah, horrible thing to do, horrible people to support. And when I say horrible people, I don't mean all Israelis. I meant Netanyahu and his government. Foul, horrible people. Openly, what they say is what they believe. They believe these people are animals. They believe that dogs, they can just be killed. I don't even believe a dog should be killed. Do you know what I mean? Let alone a human being you portray as a dog. So Floyd was obviously promoting them very hard. Obviously, he's getting paid to do it. This is what they do. This is how they control their narrative. A few people was saying, "Oh, Floyd's upstairs." Someone on my phone excited, "Floyd's up here. Everyone's getting a picture." Like, automatically upsets me. So I've gone upstairs to see if any Muslims were doing it, or any decent people that I thought were decent people, even non-Muslim, was taking pictures of him. And as I've got to the top of the stairs, I only would have just said, like, "What are you taking a picture of him for? He's a rat. He's a sellout. He's a horrible human being." And as I've done that, there was a young boy, he might not want to be named, but we just call him Mirage, yeah, because there's a few Mirages, yeah. Mirage, lovely boy, beautiful character, yeah. He was on his own, standing in front of Floyd and his 6 securities that were giants of men, and that's not an exaggeration, big men. And he was saying, "Bro, what are you doing? How are you supporting Israel? What's going on?" Floyd sees him on his own and he takes a step in towards him, like he's going to do him something. Obviously, he's comfortable. He's got these big men around him and that. Just so happened I was there right at the right time. So I've grabbed Mirage and said, like, "I'm with you." Little argument, little scuffle. a few other boys come and see the situation happening, come and stood with us. Just so happened all Muslim boys. Long story short, one of his security tried to be a bit too hands-on. I don't know what happened, but he went asleep and he rolled under a car.
Just got tired.
He just got tired. He just fell out of the game. He thought, I'm not going to defend anyone now. I'm just going to go sleep and sleep on the side of the road for a minute.
Long day.
Yeah, he went asleep, and then they exited Hatton Garden very quickly on the back of their feet. Which was the best thing for him. Wouldn't like to see him around here again.
In regards to general working with such luxury items, high value items, I wanted to ask you, in terms of security, how safe is Hatton? A lot of people speak to me generally, and they've reached out to me, say, I really want to go and shop with Dan. I want to go to Secret Garden. Like, can you give him a nudge? But some people are a bit worried.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of kind of myths or stories. I don't know if they're myths about people being set up by jewelers when they've come from out of town to buy watches, and they go down the road and
that's a myth. No one in Hatton Garden. You got to think, we got 8 jewelers on this road. 8 jewelers are the best jewelers probably in the world. Do you know what I mean? I can't think of anyone close to him. You got like Moses, the jeweler. These are big Americans, but really they're running around just doing whatever. The 8 jewelers are actually doing it. Do you know what I mean? They're on the same road in Hatton Garden. So there is a few scuffles, a few things. Obviously, there's a lot of people from certain backgrounds that are now becoming jewelers. Yeah, because they see it as a way out, which is a good thing. Do you know what I mean? People coming from no money that can make money in jewelry. Good luck to them. I hope inshallah, they're all successful. So you do have some in-house stuff, and 90%, actually 100% of what I've seen is, when it comes to stuff happening in Hatton Garden, is from people that have left the life behind that catches back up on them. They might be behind their counter and they've seen someone they've had problems with their past, and you know how these problems work. They're not even big problems, but people have egos, people have pride, and then something happens. They'll get into a fight, get into a skirmish. Well, this is England, so we know some people carry knives. Some people might have been stabbed in Hatton Garden, maybe 2 people in 10 years. Do you know what I mean? But no one's ever been set up. And I can say, wallahi, I can't think of one situation where anyone's been set up to get robbed in Hatton Garden. So if you're the guy that comes from a certain background, and that certain background was, I don't know, a bit beefy, and you had a bit of beef with people on the roads, yes, you might bump into someone in Hatton Garden because it has that luxury access to it, and it's all hand in hand. Do you know what I mean? So,
but generally speaking,
Hatton Garden is one of the safest places in London. If you look at the police response time in Hatton Garden, it's probably about 60 seconds. It's like there's police everywhere. You've got City of Police and Met Police in the City of London. And we all know Met Police, even people that are not from London, know how effective they are. Do you know what I mean? So you've got security that work in Hatton Garden as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the chances of something happening in Hatton Garden when it comes to an innocent person or someone that hasn't got beef on the road or something like that is 0.
I look at your social media, and even coming into the place itself, it's very, I won't say flashy, but it's such a cool place to be. You branded it really well, as the merch you're wearing, your logo. I spoke to you off camera. I think it's dope. And you've made it a really kind of, I won't say Gen Z, but young people want to come, and I feel like it's kind of a place you want to visit.
Mm-hmm.
How important, we spoke about the negative side of social media earlier in the conversation, how important has social media been in regards to building your personal brand, the Secret Garden Instagram, which you're very active on, and part of how important and the positive side of it?
Yeah, so social media in a whole, I know earlier I was slating it, but it's a double-edged sword because it is so important, social media, but so bad at the same time. It is like, I can't think of anything that I could compare it to. So it's good in a way for getting customers, for doing work, for even seeing what's actually going on in the world. If it weren't for social media, would we know what was going on in Palestine? Would we know what was going on in Sudan? We probably wouldn't. We'd just be told what we're told in our textbooks, and then we wouldn't have to question who owns that textbook and what is their outlook. Do you know what I mean? What is their agenda? So it's really good when it comes to that. It's really good when it comes to business. We get 90% of our sales through social media. We started growing it. We grew really quick as a jewelers because we kind of like knew a lot of people growing up in South London and things like that. So a lot of people automatically come to us because, again, we're relatable. So social media is the best when it comes to stuff like that, but it's also the worst because, like we said about the kids earlier and things like that getting over sexualized stuff. Even like the fantasy of Instagram, it's like no one posts anything bad or even meaty on Instagram. They only post the best. So then if you're looking at everyone's best bit of life, you're thinking, why my life ain't like this 24/7, and their life ain't like it 24/7. But because you're getting sharp shots of the best people of the best life, then you kind of desire to be like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's really good and really bad at the same time, social media. But for business, it's the best form of advertising. It's free advertisement. It's the best. You ain't got to pay to go on the side of a bus no more. You just grow naturally a good Instagram.
You don't need to do anything. Just put your hand palm out, put the watch over it, and Dan the jeweler puts the post up. And
exactly. Yeah. Brilliant.
So what I'm hearing is it's how you use it. And before I go on to that, so is your standpoint that social media is not inherently evil, but necessarily how it's used?
Exactly. It's how it's used and whose agenda is, again, intuition. Not intuition, sorry. What's the word I used earlier? You're going to have to get this bit out. What's the word I used earlier? Intention. Intention. It's all intention. If there's bad people that's got intention to push bad ideologies your way, you're going to get, if you got it for good cause, like I try not to scroll through social media, and I tell you what gets me is people that send me videos. Please do not send me videos on Instagram. Even if you're my friend, you think he's showing me something funny, but I'll open my let's look at it right now. So I'll open my Instagram, I click on it. Since I last looked at it, 6 or 7 DMs. Oh, not more. So this is something in general. Let's say I got 15 DMs, yeah? I'll click on it. Let's click on one for me, mate. Yeah? My mate sent me 2 videos. So now what I do? I click on one of the videos and then I start scrolling.
The doom scroll.
The doom scroll. And it just gets you. But I try not to go on social media. So if no one sent me videos, I wouldn't scroll for social media. I would not look. I never look on my search page. I never pick up my phone to start doing it. I always pick up my phone to open a message and then I get caught in the trap. I just try to stay off it as much as possible.
So the reason I also asked that, remember, it's not what it is, it's how you use it.
Exactly.
Last night we had a situation here, and I need to ask because I don't want to be bullied into this.
Yeah. I can tell this is going to be a good question already by his reaction. This is gonna...
Bro, I can't.
He looks nervous. He looks distraught. You look happy. Go.
I want to get your opinion on this thing that's happening, which is very current. But first and foremost, can a man still walk into the store and innocently buy baby oil?
Bro.
What? What are we doing here, man?
Wallahi, you are gay. Have you seen that meme? Wallahi, you're doing you are gay.
But it's how you use it, bro.
It's how you use it. It's your intention.
Bro, you tried to claim to use it as like a facial moisturizer for...
Am I not glowing today, bro?
Bro, mind you, bro, it's 11 p.m. and my friend here that's...
Oh, was you standing in the room last night together?
No. I stayed at a good friend of mine that owns a restaurant he kindly offered me his family home to stay at. But anyways, Southwest London.
Yeah, delivering coconut buying baby oil. Sus, bro. Leave that stuff alone. You could have got cocoa butter. You could have done anything.
He put himself in.
You could have got some Nivea. Yeah,
you didn't have it.
What did they have? Just baby oil.
This is it.
No cocoa butter, nothing else.
Bro, look at the time.
Baby oil in your skin.
Bro, the Netflix.
Is that not a bit like to get you a bit shiny?
Exactly, bro. Just look.
Oh, you want to be shiny at 11 o'clock at night? Bro, even white is a white. It's mad.
It wasn't for then. It was for now. Oh. Daddy's gonna come looking correct. Yeah. Just want to make sure I come looking correct.
Bro, he's digging a deep for himself.
That's a Y and all.
I'm
big Y,
and I'm bringing it back for Johnson. Johnson, you will survive the Diddy allegation. But talk to us actually, because this is something what's really happening in mainstream media and links back to some of the things you said about celebrity culture and how people start to idolize these people. And I think also just how a character like Sean Combs, that's what we're going to call him, gets to that place because they lose themselves. So tell me your opinion on that, and then maybe the opinion on...
Right, so my opinion on that is everyone has something missing from their life if they have not got a connection with their creator. So I've been there before. Do you know what I mean? I thought growing up poor, I thought...
Not a Diddy party.
Not Diddy party, bro. So yeah, so I thought that the thing that was missing was money. I was poor, I needed some money. I got some money. That thing was still missing. So I went Ibiza, I tried the little party, I've tried everything. And not to reveal my sins, I've tried escaping it through women, I've tried escaping it through partying, I've tried to escape that missing something every way you can see. Not gambling, I've never been into gambling, nothing like that. So, and then it hits you, it's like, I've got no purpose, I've got no connection with my creator. And that's what's always going to be missing. So these Diddy parties, you can try and cover it. Earning money, you can try to cover it. Women, you can try to cover it with. Everyone has their own bad thing that they try to cover with it. They think it's a good thing. They think it's brilliant. They think it's good being in a nightclub Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. It's not. You're just trying to mask it. And I'll tell you what happened last time I went to a nightclub. Little LB from I shouldn't call him Little LB, really. LB from D Block Europe. He was in Dubai the same time as me, and he's invited me. So I got a show on tonight at this venue. You want to come down? I said, yes, sweet. I'm going to come through. I sat in that club and I looked around and I looked at everyone. And again, on God, I looked at everyone and I felt sorry for them. I had a horrible feeling in my belly that was like pity. It was like watching a woman get attacked defensively. I was looking at all these people like, these people are so lost. He was all there with their bottles and they was all there with their designer clothes and they was all there with their gold on. They was all just trying really hard to pretend they was enjoying themselves. And realistically, they might feel like they was enjoying themselves. They might have took a drug that made them feel like they was enjoying themselves. And that drug might be alcohol, because alcohol's a drug. It could be anything. It could be like they was eyeing up a woman and yeah, I'm going to go chat to her in a minute. That is absolute degeneracy. That is never going to fill that hole. You're only going to feel like shit the next day. Sorry for swearing. It's never going to be filled unless you humble yourself.
And so with that, as even yourself, or we can say you're a fairly popular figure, what are the methods that one has to then undertake in order to keep themselves grounded? I think I know where you come with this, prayer. But again, what is that process like for you to stop yourself from, I guess, even getting lost again? Because you said before you've been...
Prayer. You have to pray. And when I do pray, do you know what I pray for? I pray for my iman to be strong, my religion to be strong. I want to be strong forever. I don't want to fall off again, because that scares me. Imagine if I fall off. Imagine if I get swept away by something and I stop praying. It's just a downhill spiral. That's it. So I pray, and I think it's a hadith to pray like this. I pray that I die while I am closest to God. Because if God's pleased with me, just take me. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise I could spiral out. I don't know what the next 10 years hold. Do you know what I mean? And I could end up just a bum, just a degenerate again. Do you know what I mean? But I pray every day that doesn't happen.
Are you attached particularly to what you're doing, or do you see yourself doing something else?
What, with the jewellery and that? I wouldn't say I'm attached to anything, mate, to be honest with you. I mean, I do it because it makes me money. If someone come along now, say I made, I don't know, £100,000. If someone said you can empty bins for £100,000, I'm doing the same thing, mate. I'm not doing it just because it's a lot of people get into jewellery now because they want to be jewellers, because they think it's cool. But I never got into it because of that. I only got into it for the money.
What would you say as a jeweller is the biggest misconception? The biggest misconception as a jeweller is people thinking you have loads of money. I'm not talking about myself personally, because alhamdulillah, I've done all right. But there's 99% of jewellers that put their watches up and that don't particularly own it. And it puts a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on them. Do you know what I mean? I would say I wouldn't even, maybe 10 jewellers that have over £1 million worth of stock. But looking on Instagram, looking online, you'd think every single one of these jewellers have millions and millions of pounds. So then that encourages more people to get into that line of work, because they're going to think, I'm going to become a jeweller, I'm going to be a millionaire. And most of them ain't. Do you know what I mean? So that is the biggest misconception, is it's going to make you loads of money and loads of popular and really cool. And it ain't. In a time where a lot of people would say we're in a financial crisis, how are people affording luxury watches and jewellery? Because I speak to a lot of business owners in loads of different fields, and a lot of them are saying like people ain't got the money to spend to even come out to eat at luxury restaurants. Or has this affected you?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well, I think our sales have probably gone down 30% since, let's say the end of COVID. COVID was a great time for us. Do you know what I mean? It was flying. But since then, I think average months are 30% down now, and I think they are across the board. Property, we'll do a bit of property as well. I think everything's down. I'd say 30%. But no, everything can last forever, can it? So imagine if we were where we was month in, month out, keep going, it'd be unrealistic.
I think one thing I really respect about you is the honesty and the fact that you're real about things, because there's a lot of people watching, like you say, seen a lot of jewellery content out there recently. It's like all I kind of see when I'm scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of people making a lot of content, which is great, you know, but a lot of people might think it's easy and think it's something to just get into, quite a saturated market. But yeah, it's actually quite...
Yeah. It's sincerity. That's what you got to go for. You got to be sincere with what you're doing. These podcasts, I haven't, up until, if you told me 3 years ago I was going to start doing podcasts, I would have said never. I'm only doing it because I want to open people's eyes to a certain cause, and that is Islam, if I'm honest. Do you know what I mean? So we might talk about jewellery, we might talk about how nice the lifestyle is, how well we've done, how these kids come from nothing and now got a bit of money. But for me, that my only point of these podcasts is to add in Islam.
No, I feel one of your skills, once again, that I reiterate, even on the podcast, you've literally endorsed, I wouldn't say a competitor because I don't see them as, but you mentioned A Jewellers. A lot of people, I heard this quote once and it said the people at the bottom are kind of in competition with each other, but the people at the top kind of collaborate with each other. And I don't see you as somebody who kind of is worried too much what other people are doing.
I help people. There's we can go walk around the garden now and there'll be 5 or 6 people that are here directly because I've helped them. Do you know what I mean? And I don't see them as, oh no, now, because some of us got mutual friends. Some of us are like, got the same friends, grew up in the same area. And I could be like, oh, well, that person bought a watch off me last year. Now they might buy a watch of this person because it ain't that deep to me. Do you know what I mean? If I can help 5 people, I'm going to help 5 people. I can help 10 people, I'll help 10 people. But some people ain't like that. Again, it's intention, isn't it? Sincerity.
How does it work then? Because you're all in very close proximity with each other. You know each other very well, but you kind of not fighting for the same customers. Because another podcast that I watched, which was great, was Matty's on The Bridge.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you and obviously maybe previous minor tensions, but how close you are now. And I see you and I see him doing his content and mentioning you, and I think it's that brotherhood is so
100%.
So it's so refreshing to see.
Matty, I hated him. He's like kind of like where I grew up in Downham. He's like he grew up in like the town next to me, I suppose you call it, Bellingham, and he was like the me in that area. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, if anyone had any advice or anything or any problems, they'd come to me. In Bellingham, they would go to Matty. So I guess there was growing up some kind of ego thing there. Something happened once and someone said I was involved. I wasn't involved, but it's irrelevant now. Me and Matty got into a situation and I didn't like him. Do you know what I mean? It was like, if any time I see him, it was on the edge, it was funny. But no, I love Matty. I love him. He's one of the most genuinely nice human beings that I know. Yeah, no,
I feel like as you kind of get older, and even the Dean, has that played a big part in both of you really kind of coming together?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So the Dean, it helps in every aspect of life. Do you know what I mean? So anything that I've ever done in life, I'm going to revert back to that. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to say that it's because of this or because of that. So that is life. Do you know what I mean?
Got a question sent in as well prior to this pod, and it was, what's the most awkward exchange you ever had with a certain client, with a client or a customer?
Awkward?
Yeah, or just like a strange kind of situation that you've had.
Oh, there's been loads. Where do I start? I took my hat off for this one. Loads. Some people are just so weird. Some people are weird and they can't be helped. Like, some people are weird.
Give us a few examples.
Oh, mate. Oh, we sold watches to people and then they've gone out and worn the watch for 3 months and then come back and scratched the glass and said, this was quite recently, so I'm thinking about it. And there was a scratch on the glass. And he said, I bought this watch with a scratch on the glass, but I'm showing him pictures on my phone. It's got no scratch on the glass. But he's convinced. He's not just trying to knock me or trying to make me replace the glass for free. He's convinced the glass is already on it, but I'm showing him pictures. People are mad, mate. People are mad. It's yeah.
But would you not notice the scratch?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Exactly. But I've got my Instagram post of the watch with no scratch on it. Do you know what I mean? And he's worn it 3 months exactly to notice the scratch on it.
There's not a Casio, the ones...
No, it was a full rose gold root beer.
So you're paying a significant amount.
30 odd grand, yeah.
You're looking at that with a microscope for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. Some people are mental, man.
How do you avoid situations like that? Do you take?
I don't avoid it, and I don't try to understand it, because trying to understand an insane person will make you insane. Does that make sense? So when people are just being weird, I just see them as weird and just move forward.
We get a lot of people who watch our podcast who are obviously interested in business, flips, quick flips. The price of silver has been going up recently. I know yourself, you've, I think, maybe put some silver bars up for sale. I had someone ask me last night. That's done. Ask Dan for some tips.
Yeah, everyone, and I mean everyone that's in business, is saying silver's going to go mad. So that's why silver is going mad, because of the hype of it. But if it does do what they're saying, there's good money to be made in silver at the moment. So let's put into perspective in this. If you keep, say you got 100 grand in savings, well, not a lot of people have, but some have, 100 grand in savings. If you had that in the bank a year ago, you would have got 4 gold bars, let's say. That same 100 grand today is worth 2 gold bars. So why wouldn't you keep your money in the commodity? The bank wins when you keep it in the bank, because they mortgage people money and they earn off your interest and give you a tiny little sliver of it. But if you would have put your 100 grand, not left it in the bank, again, brainwashing, they tell us leave your money in the bank, save it for a rainy day. In the gold, it's still a rainy day, because it's still currency. All currency is backed by gold. So you keep it in gold, you've got a chance of doubling, tripling the worth of your money. And that's the same with most physical assets. Do you know what I mean? I see something recently. It said that in 2020, if 100 grand will buy something like 14 Volkswagen Polos, and today it will only buy 7 Volkswagen Polos. So the actual value of money is getting less and less over the years. But the value of gold's going up.
About that process though. So before investing, you obviously have to build up, I guess, a bit of money. From your experience, because you have gone from 0 to where you are now, how do we start?
Get shit done. That is the motto. Just get up and do it. You come up with an idea, don't even talk about it, just do it. Do you know what I mean? I've done loads of businesses. I had a vinyl wrap company. I've done absolutely everything, but I've never sat still and then tried to make it a Disney story. Like, I'm going to go and become a jeweler and write a plan and put pictures on the wall of manifestations and I'm going to do this. No, pray and get shit done. Simple. And it works.
If you were to speak to the young Danny yourself, and I say this because there's a lot of young people out there that will see someone like you and be like, nice watch, Dan's got cold watch, or young ads, or Potter, and it's iced out. And their kind of, their nuffs, their kind of desires are kind of saying to them, you know, they need this to be accepted by society, to be looked at in a certain way. What would you say to them?
Just take it easy. Take it easy. Don't worry about all that kind of stuff. But me saying don't worry about it ain't going to make you not worry about it. So just relax. Just keep learning, keep educating yourself, and you realize this stuff. It's nice to have nice stuff. I'm not saying don't have it. Yes, because it's nice to have. Do you know what I mean? The same as designer clothes, things like that. Of course, it's nice to have. But don't let it rule you. Don't make it make you do something that's morally wrong to get that money, or don't make you do something out of character to get that money. Like girls these days opening OnlyFans at 18 years old. Why are they doing that? Because they want designer handbags. So you're literally selling your body, selling your soul for designer bags. Again, because you've been brainwashed. The complete opposite of the Tommy brainwash. Do you know what I mean? You've literally been brainwashed. So it's just take it easy. Knowing it's nice, but knowing it's not everything. That is the key. And again, that comes with sincerity, and that comes with truth and also age as well. Because I wasn't always the same. Do you know what I mean? I remember going to Louis Vuitton when I was young and buying belts and scarves and shit and thinking I was the man and cool. But try to learn from an old man.
What's the next step for Secret Garden?
Next step is, I think we're going to have to go back into a shop. Yeah.
Is that an exclusive?
Yeah. We just bid on a shop the other day. We got outbid on it. In Hatton Garden, it's quite weird. You've got to pay a thing called key money, which is, someone can say, yes, you can take my shop. I want 200 grand drink. Yeah, that's the way it works here. So,
is that like a goodwill or?
Nah, it's just because it's the natural progression, I would say. Yeah, so basically we've got a lot of staff now. There's 6 or 7 of us here. We know we're going to get a lot of time wasters when we open the shop, so it won't be like this. But that's the only reason why we haven't done a shop so far. Because we leave a lot of stock in other people's shops and things like that anyway. So we've got the stock to fill a shop. We just didn't want the time wasting and concentrate on what we're doing. But now I think it's time to get into a shop. we'll stay in Hatton Garden. It'll be in Hatton Garden. I think Hatton Garden's good for us. I think Hatton Garden's the jewellery district of London. So, yeah.
So appreciate your time today, Danny.
Thank you, brother.
Really appreciate you having us down, and hopefully we'll see you soon, man.
Inshallah.
Take care, bro.